Have you been able to use technology in the classroom to help with this? Other than the YouTube videos we spoke about, is there anything else technology can help with?
I have with older students, with slightly the ones that have. I mean, it's a bit more difficult now. They're not allowed to have the phones in class, because we used to use phones quite a lot for them to take photographs of things.
Okay.
The ones that are maybe not so good with the homework diary, used to kind of take photograph of the board and what the homework plan was on the board, so they got a visual representation of it.
And reminders and
but it's a bit more difficult now. They're not allowed to have their phones in class to do that.
What they use at some schools is have something called Schoolology, and so homework is written on there for the students,
like an app.
Or Google Classrooms or Teams or things like that.
So if they're needing things for food technology or something, then it's written down what it is that they're needing to bring for next time, things like that. So that's a useful tool. But there's other tools that you can use to help support with sequencing and things like that with reading. Is we've used this Rainbow Readers that you have a book and you have a reader pen, and the reader pen will read to you, and you have that same book for a week, and that child then becomes so familiar with that text after that week. It does help with their fluency then to read that book by the end of the week, and with lots of different examples of activities to do within that book that they can do over that week, and it could be with a peer. But the interesting thing about peer, you were talking about peers before, having a buddy, the Tuakana Taina model, where using one's child's strength to support those that are learning, and then the student who does have an executive function difficulty might be have a skill in some area that's really helpful for other people, and they could then be the tuakana and help support others, and that will help boost their self-esteem and reduce their anxiety and things like that.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think it's really important to remember is that we all have our strengths, and we will all have some lags on, it might be that working memory might be an area for one of us here, that if we're unwell or stressed, that's the bit that might fall off a little bit more so. So anyone who is on the spectrum or ADHD or anyone with neurodiversity will still have, strengths that they can offer the world, but they just have those struggles.
That's where I feel it's important to model as well, in terms of everybody has got their strengths and weaknesses. Everybody, as adults, we use different tools to support us with our difficulties. Some people have reminders on their phone and timers that go off for various things, and it's kind of using that and explaining that to your child to help
sticky
them to
notes
see.
on the mirror first thing in the morning, because you're going to see that.
And it's referring to them and saying, look, this is what I do to help me, so that they realise that it's okay to have those supports and it's okay to use those strategies. We teach quite a lot around, and it ties in with the kind of peer support. We teach a lot around tuning in and being able to use your peers around you and observe what's happening in the room to be able to kind of pick up clues as to what you need to do and how you need to behave. Because they do, especially younger children, take their clues from what they can see other people doing. If I'm lost and I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to watch my friends and see if I can figure it out. So we spend quite a lot of time teaching those skills of being able to kind of observe and notice what's happening around them, to be able to then kind of tune in and copy that.
Can you summarise a little bit about how you would teach that? Because I've been trying to teach that, like, ask people, look around, but sometimes it seems like it's very hard for them to do that. So how can I encourage them
and
to
it
do
is hard, especially if they've got other things going on, if they're quite visually distracted or they struggle with different noises and things like that.
Or it's that introvertness that they don't want to ask.
So sometimes, like if you're in the playground, for example, the scenario of being in the playground, and your child might want to go into the sandpit, but there's all these children in there, and they'll take a step back and not want to join. specifically saying what you can see. Oh, I can see that child over there in the blue shirt is using a spade and putting it in a bucket. I can see. So it's called descriptive commenting. So, and you're noticing, and so saying to the child, oh, notice that child over there.
Modelling.
Yeah. Okay. This is what they're doing with the sand. And look, they're sitting on the side of the sand pit, and so that they can reach the sand easily.
Yeah.
And so things like that, and that makes it.
So when your child sees it, that's how you're thinking. You're observing out loud. They're like, that's
because
how they
when you're
start
saying,
thinking.
just have a look, they think, well, I'm looking, but what are they looking at?
Exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, I can see a space in the sandpit there.
Yeah.
Why don't you go and sit in that space?
Oh, that was a great answer.